Hello, everybody. This is Diana, and this is my Trailblazers of the Universe podcast. Some of you might know me from my YouTube channel, Trailblazers of the Universe, where I help you break through your barriers and transcend your limitations to help you live your best, most authentic life. So this podcast, the focus is going to be more bridging self-improvement with spirituality and emotional healing, but it's not limited to those topics. So today, I have special guests, Jackie Lyons. And do you want to, I know you do a bunch of different things. You want to give them your credentials. And so she's done an Akashic record reading for me, which was really beneficial. But today we're going to talk about another reading that she does. It's called the Energy Centers reading. So if you want to just explain what you do, some of your credentials, and what that Energy Center reading is.
Okay, perfect. So I am Jackie of Jackie Soul Stories. I am an energy healer and Akashic record reader. Also, I am a certified Silva Ultra Mind Hypnosis coach. So I guess that's the paper version of what I am. But what we're doing here today is we're going to discuss our energy centers. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what your energy center it is one of your main 8 chakras that run from the base of your spine to the crown of your head. And we'll get more into it as we go further, but for now, that is kind of an overview of what we're discussing here today.
So we know the energy, some people don't know those are your chakras, right? But when we live more, so we have like 1 or 2 centers that you say we draw more energy from. And if we live our life in alignment with these energy centers, it'll be better for our well-being, even finding your life purpose, right? Just finding, it's kind of living from your, I don't know if you want to say aligned center or how you would say
that. Living within alignment to source. So we do pick up energy from numerous sources, our environment, the people around us, as well as source energy, which is vital energy. It's creative, expansive, passionate type of energy. And this comes directly from God, source. So when we know and understand which energy center or centers are primary for us, we can really learn to start making choices that draw in an influx of that vital source energy. And once we can kind of live from that balanced energetic state, we really start to bring in positive experiences through new choices.
Nice. So I guess we could go through maybe all. So I did see on your website, so I know we have 7 chakras, but you also said you can draw it from 8 different energy centers. So 7, that's your 7 main chakras. What's the 8th one? Or we could
The 8th one would be the one above your crown chakra. So that's your divine star? Connection to source energy. So some people call it the star chakra. Yeah. There is a Sanskrit name for it. I don't have it on the top of my head right now, but that is the main chakra to our connection to source. And I do just want to mention before we get a little bit further that not every individual that is alive on the planet draws energy from source. So there are some individuals who solely get their energy from their environment and people around them. So those individuals wouldn't really fit into any of these 8 categories. They can learn to choose to make choices, but we came with free will and consciousness to make these choices. So you kind of develop that either through lifetimes of making choices out of alignment, or you could have been born into star systems or incarnated into star systems that just don't receive energy from God source any longer.
Oh, that's fair. I didn't even think about that. That's a really good point. Wow. How many in this world, how many what percentage?
The percentage, I would say maybe I don't have an exact percent, but I would say 20% would be a safe number.
Oh, really? Okay.
To say within this experience. So
you're saying 20% who draws energy from source, or you're saying that?
Or 20% that don't.
That don't. Oh, okay, good. I was gonna say.
So, and it's important to be mindful as an individual who still does draw energy from source, because those people are drawing energy from you, because you do still draw in vital source energy. So those individuals can be called energy vampires, soul suckers. There's a lot of different names, but they get energy through other people and the environment solely. So it's really good to be mindful of that those people are out there, and they're not inherently bad people. They can be amazing people. They're there and they're picking up their energy from their surroundings.
Yeah, I think we all know some people like that.
Yes, and unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, it depends on the circumstances they incarnated into. If it's a very negative situation and they're used to getting negative energy, they're going to continue to kind of create drama and cause problems to bring in that energy to themselves. But on the other hand, if you were born or incarnated into a really great family where you got a lot of positive love and support, you're going to be looking for more positive energy flow in that sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so.
Okay, I guess we can why don't we just go through the 8 energy centers that people draw energy from, and just maybe a little bit about each, like what someone who draws energy from that center, like what kind of maybe like life the way they live, what kind of maybe personality traits or like life purpose or whatever you think. I saw what you put on the Instagram similar to that, so we can just start from, I guess, the root chakra and just go up.
Yes, please. So 50% of our vibrational spectrum is created, and we draw energy from about 50% of that energy comes from just one or possibly 2 of those energy centers. So if you're a single-souled energy center, you'll have 50% of your vibrational spectrum to each energy center. If you have 2 energy centers, it's usually about 30 to 20% where you draw from each one of those. So depending on that factor would depend if you either make choices that are in alignment to 1 or 2 energy centers. So that's something to keep in mind. And you won't know until you actually go in and dive into your Akashic record to find that out for yourself, or have a practitioner kind of share that information with you. But the first one, being your root chakra, is divine compassion. So this energy center is all about compassion, community, nature. Individuals who are prominent with this energy center will be very compassionate, tolerant, unconditional, probably the support system in their family. They're very concerned with the environment, humanitarian issues, and very grounded within nature. So that is our base. That's where our connection to the earth comes in. You'll find these individuals being social workers. They'll be in nursing, veterinary, anything that really brings them a feeling of being valued in what they do.
That's interesting.
So that's the positive aspects of this. It can get a lot more in depth depending on the individual circumstances as well.
So I guess maybe another thing we can talk about is what so those would be more positive. What could be something more drawbacks of living drawing strength from that energy center? What could they could be lacking, or however you want to use that?
Yeah, because we live in a world of duality. So with every positive, and we can call it positive and negative, we can call it higher vibrational, lower vibrational, high, there's a lot of ways to say it. For the purpose of this video, I'll say positive and negative because it just kind of defines a clear aspect. But what's negative for one energy center may not be negative for another one. So just keep that in mind. But there is a negative polarity to this energy center, and it's isolation. So without these individuals having a strong sense of self-awareness, they'll tend to lose themselves and kind of just continue to give to other people without ever receiving. And they'll isolate themselves, and they'll have a hard time walking away from negative relationships. So depression can be a really big thing for an individual who has this as their primary energy center. They might try harder to feel included, so that they can feel like they're getting a sense of value from the situation. Unfortunately, it's going to be a tough lesson for these individuals if they don't have very proper, strong boundaries, because they will just continue to give without ever getting back anything in return. And it can be very detrimental to their energy source.
Yeah, I guess I can see how that is. It's kind of like finding like comfort in like finding validation, like in like security from kind of offering kind of security to others. So maybe when they don't feel as if they're as valuable to others, I could see how that could cause like some kind of like depression or feeling isolated or
exactly. It's really important that these individuals find a connection to their work. So if they're in jobs where they don't have, we all have jobs that go to for the money. So what part of that is there a part of that job that you can focus on where you're bringing value to the business or your fellow employees or the community, in some way so that you can really focus on that part of it and kind of let go of the parts of the job that are, tedious or mind numbing, or that horrible boss you have. And if you can't, unfortunately, you're going to have to leave the job and find a position where you do have that sense of value, because you can't work for 8 hours a day feeling unvalued as a first energy center individual.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
And do you think also, because that's more in your root, since you're more in your root, do you think some of them have trouble connecting like on a spiritual level too? Do you think that's part of it?
Very much so. Yeah. If you're ungrounded in the physical experience, I don't think that you have a very strong basis to move up into those spiritual levels when you're being so ungrounded. But just because you're a first energy center individual doesn't necessarily mean you will feel that way.
Yeah.
If you're making positive choices and you're working in alignment, you may feel very, very connected. And it's really important just to make sure that you're continuing to feel that way, and you're not just doing things out of obligation, that you're really getting something out of the work that you're doing or the experiences that you're having. So there's a lot of ways to shift it, especially if you are stuck in one of those type of jobs where you have to be there for the money, but you're not really feeling valued or getting value out of it. Then you're going to have to look into maybe finding something in the community that you can do maybe after work that makes you feel valued, so you can kind of shift that energy and get through the day without feeling so much lack.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing. And maybe would you say connected more to material things as well, or no, or not so much?
That would really be based on the individual probably, and the environment that they grew up in. I mean, so because there's such a wide variety of individuals that will be prominent with this as their energy center, that it would be hard to say. That's more situational, I would think.
Okay.
Based on your experience growing up and the influences you had.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I guess we can move up to the second energy center. So the sacral. But so I don't always want to. So it's not just chakras. So it's also, you have like a word for it. Like, so okay, I'll say second.
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily just define it by being the chakras, because there's so much more. It really does express what your divine gifts are when you incarnated into this experience. So it gives you a blueprint of how you should be focusing your goal to attract abundance into your life. And once you align these to your energy center, you could feel you don't necessarily get a positive result on say the work that you did. It could come in another aspect of your life where things just start to work out. So it's they're not necessarily correlated to what you're doing. It just, in your overall experience, the energy will start to shift.
Gotcha.
So for the second energy center is divine manifestation. And this is all about the physical plane. So it is about creating balance and manifesting within this current experience, within our physical reality. So people who are primary with this energy center usually have a strong connection to money and sexuality and desire, your passion. So individuals who are primary to this energy center, they can tend to work within sports, building things, construction, creating even website design, or coding. Coding is a really big one for this, because you're really creating on the physical level. You're taking your ideas and you're making something tangible that you can see. So even dance, yoga, financial. When it comes to financial in this one, if this energy center can learn to see money as an energetic source, that's how they can kind of learn to create and shape their financial freedom through that, once they can connect to it on an energetic level. So that would be the more positive aspects of this energy center. And then, so on the flip side, we have the negative aspect, which would be becoming disconnected from the physical experience. So if you're a person who works on the computer and you're building, websites and you're designing games and you never get outside, that behavior is going to be really tough for you to get rid of that lack of energy. So learning to take jobs where you can be outside, actively involved with what's going on in the world. If you have to be behind a computer, maybe you take your computer out on your deck and you work in that sense where you're still connected to the environment. in a physical way, because really they probably don't do well in a job where you would be sitting behind your desk. I couldn't see that type of individual succeeding at their job in that sense, because it's really just doesn't go with the flow, or sitting there writing a book. They could write a book, but they might want to, like I said, take their computer outside. Maybe they're not writing, maybe they're dictating as they're walking, or they're out doing, and then they hand it off to somebody else to do the final writing of it, because it wouldn't be a very strong connection for this type of energy center.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like the different names you have for the energy centers, because I wouldn't have thought that originally. So I like that. It's interesting.
And that's what it is. It is about manifesting and creating on a physical level. So unfortunately, individuals from this energy center do tend to have dependency issues, substance abuse issues, can lead to sexual addiction, because they get a lot of power coming from the physical plane. Everything in moderation is good. You want to have all of those things. You don't want to have to abstain from anything if you're here for a physical experience, but you have to keep a balance with that, or it can tend to get really out of control.
Yeah, I could see how too much focus on the physical, of course, with anyone could end up overindulging basically in different areas. Yeah,
it's true, definitely.
Okay, so I guess the third energy center.
So the third energy center is divine order, and this energy center is all about balance and harmony and beauty. These souls are usually experts in being balanced with themselves and their environment. Their gift is that they blend beauty and function to create like truly very harmonious spaces, super creative, very well put together. These people will come. They'll be showing up with their hair, their makeup done, their outfit perfect. They're probably extremely, extremely organized. My girlfriend is a third energy center individual, and like her closet is one of those closets people dream about. It's like color coordinated and short sleeve and long sleeve and pants, and it's all perfect. I don't know how she does it, but that's how you'll notice these individuals. They could be like I said, designers, those furniture arrangers in houses and stuff. That would be like a really positive job for somebody like this. They have a very strong sense of organization. So, creating calendars or OCD, designing websites. It could come off as a little bit OCD. They can be very drawn to the spotlight, but only if they're like dressed to impress. Like they can't just like walk out the door probably with their hair pulled back in a bun. Like they're going to be the one who is fully dressed before they leave their house. Nobody will ever see them on a bad day. That's kind of the strengths that this energy center embodies. So the negative for this would be drama. So these individuals, it's not so much about avoiding drama, because you never want to avoid drama. It's about confronting drama head on. So if there's a situation, especially I'm going to go back to work. So say you're at work and you have an issue with a colleague, they're not ones to necessarily say anything about it. They'll just kind of go home and then they'll stew on that for hours, sending all this energy over to that person while they're at home, instead of just saying, hey, I'm not okay with that. This is my piece, leaving it there and letting it go. They'll just sit there thinking about the dramatic situation, and that can tend to have them creating dramatic situations in their life. So yeah, it's really important for these people to speak and confront these things head on, so that they're not taking their work home with them, and they're being able to let it go. Avoiding confrontation really isn't the answer in this situation. And we all love a good piece of good drama, but there is a certain amount of energy that's being taken away from these individuals, especially if they keep engaging in that.
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of goes where we talk about taking energy from others and not as much from yourself.
It is definitely. So really balanced boundaries with this energy center will be positive too. You really want to have an equal balanced exchange of energy with your relationships, and you're going to know where these situations come in when people call you and if they're taking too much for you, their name's gonna show up on your phone and you're gonna be like, oh no, not that person. I can't deal with that right now. Those are the people that are taking more than they're giving back to you. So you have to be the judge in your life as to how much of your energy are you going to continue to give to that person or that situation.
Yeah, I think just having a discernment. I always say just to pay attention to how you feel after you interact with certain people. I think now with the frequency shift, the veil being thin and everything, there's a lot of awareness more to that now.
I agree.
Alignment and what isn't, yeah.
I agree, and it's not like we don't have to cut people out of our lives completely.
Just set boundaries.
Some people you might
boundaries. Yeah, some people just boundaries or just expressing something, or just communicating something.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if they're not, and somebody said this the other day, and I'm like, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no, and that's how I feel now. It's like I'm not going to continue to put myself out there if I'm not getting that same connection back. And some people have to be put on strict boundaries. Some people smaller boundaries, and some people are gone altogether. And that's just an individual choice that you'll have to make in your own situation.
Yep,
definitely. So we can move on to divine love, which would be our fourth chakra. Not surprising. This energy center is all about love and healing. So souls that are primary in this energy center are usually great at being in relationships. They're going to be natural healers. So this isn't something they've ever had to train to do. They just are. They're probably the person that everybody in their family goes to with all their problems. Probably even strangers come up to you with your problems and just feel like they're able to just kind of bare their soul. They're going to be very non-judgmental. Probably would find a job where they're being valued. Like this kind of has a lot with the divine compassion. But I would see them being more like managers, team leaders. They're going to be very well at running a group. They're going to be trusted by their colleagues. They have a good head on their shoulders. And it's just this natural, loving nature of them that draws people to them. But because of that, their negative polarity to this is to continue to give without ever getting anything back in return. So, they're going to be... The problem is they love like no one else. So they'll never, unless they get involved with another fourth energy center individual, they're never going to feel love like they give. And they're never going to feel like they're getting as much out of their relationships as they're giving. So they have to be especially carefully that they don't continue to give, because these individuals tend to double down to show you the way you like. So if you're in a relationship with them, they love bomb you, but because they want to show you how to love them back. But you don't get it because why would you? You're not a fourth energy center person, and you're just like, I'm going to take all that love, and then they're going to double down and try to give you more love as a way to teach you how to love, and then they're depleted, and you still don't know what they were trying to show you, because you can't expect other people who they just don't see things or feel things the way that you do. So it's really important to set up proper boundaries. Again, learn to say no. That's a big one, because you're probably, being bombarded with people from all over the place needing your support or your kindness or your comfort, almost to your detriment. So setting up those proper energetic spaces for you is going to be very, very beneficial to your energy influx.
Yeah, definitely. I think like anything, it's just about balancing, right? All of these energy centers, they have, their pros and their cons, the drawbacks and everything. So I think just about, everything's about balance, really, at the end of the day. That's what I'm still trying to learn.
Yeah, and it is. And some days we're a lot better at doing it than other days. And it's okay. It's a process. We're learning about ourselves as we go. So, but having and knowing this about yourself and even your children it helps you to understand how to communicate with them on a way that's going to bring the most vital energy into their experience. So that's why, with my kids, they are, my son is a second energy center person. So I know now that he can't just sit at his iPad all the time. Yeah, it's great. And he's learning to code and all this fun stuff, but he has to go out and do swimming. He has to get out and be active. Otherwise, he starts to get really, really cranky and overly tired, and he doesn't sleep well. And I can see the shift. So, physical activity is great for any kid, I would say. But that's how I know he's pulling in the most positive energy.
Yeah. I think it's very beneficial to know this. I think a lot of people aren't aware of this. I mean, I didn't even know this until you did my Akashic record reading. I mean, I knew about the energy centers, but I didn't think about living more in alignment with your energy center. I think it's very interesting, and a lot of people could really benefit.
Definitely, and that was the thing that drew me in too. And that was the first changes that I started to make was to my energy center, because it's the quickest thing that I could try to figure out to change. I mean, it's not as like, it can be difficult, it can be more in depth, but there are small changes that we can start to make that are more in alignment to that and keep building off that energy. So for myself, this is one of my energy centers, is divine communication, which is the 5th energy center. So this energy center is all about self-expression and authenticity. Souls in this energy center will have a very special relationship with the written and spoken word. So you will find these if you're primary with this energy center, you may be an author. You're going to be a lifelong teacher, learner. You want to be involved with the written language. So you could be talk show host, anything where you work and you move to inspire people with the written word. It could be ads that you're creating online or things like that. So there's a variety of jobs that you could do with a primary energy center of communication. So yeah, that's really what I started with, is just started getting out there and talking, speaking my truth and letting the energy flow. Problem is these individuals tend to be able to communicate so fast. Like, they'll be having 5 conversations in their head at one time, and they can get lost in their thoughts. And they really start to create lack in their life when their communication falls on deaf ears. So meaning you're not finding your audience, you're speaking to people who don't want to hear what you have to say. They don't share your same foods. Exactly. It's gonna start depleting you. It's important to find your connection to people who have the same views and share the same ideas of you. And then you can motivate it and start your, your work and your community through your written words. So we really want, sorry, I just had something pop up. I apologize. Okay. So if you're having blocks for this, and what was true for me, it wasn't so much my written or my spoken word, it was my written word. I've always shied away from writing, even though I knew, I had the ability to write very well, but I had such lack or almost self-esteem issues when it came to writing, especially in front of people. Like, if somebody asked me to take the whiteboard and go up there and write, I would just die. I would be so nervous. I don't know what it was about the written writing that was blocking me, but it was really, really strong. So I just started journaling every day, knowing nobody was going to read it,
and just practice,
let it flow. And till I kind of built myself out of that energy. And then at work, I'm not somebody who has a job where I'm writing outgoing emails, but I just asked them if I could do that for the holidays, explain what the holiday is, give some local activities in the city that's going on that holiday, and send it out, every time there was a holiday. And that was just a way to express myself at work, bring in the good energy, work at cultivating my written writing and getting my writing out there. And I slowly started to build off that, letting go of limiting beliefs around the communication side of my work. And I started to see some really positive flows of energy. And then slowly I started to let go of those beliefs that I couldn't write like businessy enough or whatever. But there was some large blocks around that in my situation. So it was just really important to continue to speak and get that energy flowing, and then find the right audience.
I think that's big, finding the right audience for anybody in the energy center. But I think that's cool how you learned that was energy center, and then you're able to work with it more, applying what you know from that, and then how it's helped you. So,
well, yeah, and it was really, at first, all I did was take my camera and just record on YouTube, not knowing if anybody would ever see it. I don't know that there was more than 20 people that did see it. But once I started to do that, all of a sudden, other areas of my life started to improve. Doors started opening that seemingly were closed. And I saw a lot of positive movement forward. And it really helped me to get my thoughts out of my head and onto onto a platform where I could watch it back and be like, all of these new thoughts just came out in this conversation that I wasn't really paying attention to. So it just really, the energy shifted so fast. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that story just so that people could see, like, it can happen so quickly once you can connect to that energy.
Yeah, I think that's what you had told me in our Akashic Record reading. Mine is the next energy center, the sixth energy center, the divine truth. And I think you also mentioned that about finding your audience, because if you're giving divine truth to the audience that is not quite there, or they're very resistant to it, that can be a thing. And I know as I've had that. I mean, I think that's
it definitely is. It definitely is. And these two, this is one of my second energy centers. So I have two energy centers. And I mean, if you had to combine two energy centers together, these would be the best two to kind of put together, because they have a lot of the same aspects. Divine truth is your sixth chakra, which is your third eye chakra. Yeah. And energy center is all about truth in our divinity. So as much as these individuals can be psychic and can be the seers of the world, they are very highly intuitive. Yeah. So having your third eye open is not necessarily being able to see visions. It's your intuition. It's your connection to your emotions. It's the connection to your power of observation. And I don't know that people think that this is a big thing, but there are some people who can walk into a room and just understand the dynamics of what's going on just by walking in, because you're so observant. You pick up the slightest body notions, the slightest facial expressions. You're noticing in the corner people are fighting just by the tone of their body. So they can seem like they have this incredible power of perception over what's going on in a situation. So usually these individuals are basically human lie detectors. So they will embody jobs like detectives, anything in that line, cops, stuff like that. But it is really important that people who are primary in this energy center help uncover and take a stand for the truth and their truth that they believe in. So it is very important to shed light on situations where the truth is being withheld and kind of stand your ground and allow that to come out.
I think that's interesting, because I always wanted to be a detective too. I've always been interested in that investigative stuff and the lie detector, like knowing when people are lying. So I did know. So when she told me that, I was like, oh, yeah. But it's also, I guess just finding the right time to say things and when, it's. I think that's what I might struggle with. Or sometimes you see too much, and then you miss maybe you miss the bigger picture, because you're sometimes in this energy center you're too busy analyzing everything. But then there's a way bigger picture, but you're too focused on that little thing. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a big thing, but there could be a bigger picture because you're
like tunnel vision almost. Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's such a great observation, because it is it's hard to get something over on a if your primary sixth energy center, and that can be intimidating for others in your life because. People like a little bit of milk with their coffee, right? They don't always want the cold, hard truth. And for a sixth energy center individual, it can be hard to maybe sugarcoat things to sound, to
you take things as you see them more,
to
and
the greater masses.
People. Yeah, I have that happen a lot.
Yeah. So our friends can tend to maybe avoid coming to tell you something because they just know. They're not going to pull one over. You're not going to give them that sympathy. You're going to give them the cold, hard truth. It's amazing to have those people in your life, because they're not going to, be just yes people, tell you what you want to hear. They're really going to tell you the truth of how they perceive the situation. And the truth isn't always the easiest thing to hear for a lot of people. They want that softer version, which can be a challenge for this energy center to kind of go down that level. So that's where the negative polarity comes into this energy center, is when their truth is unwelcomed and they still continue to share it. So it's really important to find people who value what you have to say, sharing your truth, because the blunt communication style can really be challenging for some of the softer souls in the list we're going through here.
Yep. I would definitely say that.
Yeah. So, and there's always a way to, what do they say? It's written on your face. That's something that, I have one of those faces that when somebody's like trying to pull something over on me, like I'll be like,
yeah,
you can just tell, like it's
roll
not
your eyes, yeah, kind of thing.
yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Really? Is that what's going on? Okay.
You're like, yeah, no, I can't lie to that person. So, I mean, learning to speak in a way that connects to a broader group of people is challenging, but would be very beneficial because you can still get your point across without possibly offending people. And you know how people get offended easily these days. So, yeah, just like they say, a little bit of milk with the coffee.
Yep. Okay, I guess we can go to the 7th, unless you got something else to say on the 6th.
Nope. Yeah, the 7th energy center is divine power. So this energy center is your crown chakra, and it's all about doing and being what we want without limitation. So these souls from this energy center have they value freedom of choice. It's really important from these souls. It's really important for them to have doing things that they want to do, not doing things they feel like they have to do. They create their results fast. So when you have this energy center as your primary center, you can manifest really, really quickly. Thoughts become things fast.
Yeah.
So if something's not working, if it's not working quick, it's probably not going to work. So it's time to switch up this strategy and move on. I had a friend, it seems like he just thinks of something and then it shows up in his life. It's crazy. Like he was like, I'm going to go to the wrestling show and I'm going to walk in and they're going to upgrade my seats. I'm like, okay, weird thing to say, whatever. Anyways, that happened. And he walks in, they come over out of all these people in this large city and upgrade his seat. And he sends me a picture from the upgraded seat. I'm like, you literally just said that. How did that happen? But that's how quickly these souls can manifest thoughts into things. So it's really important that they understand that just as fast as they can manifest good things, they can manifest bad things.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yes, depending on your mindset and what you're focusing on. So knowing that can be very beneficial, because if this individual, say, grew up in a very negative household, they could be out of the house but still continuing to incarnate or encounter negative situations. And it could just need to be the way their perspective is and their mindset is, and they can shift that to a positive, more positive, thoughtful thoughts. Then you can bring in the positive situations again. So the negative polarity for this energy center is going to be obligation. So if souls from this energy center continue doing things because they have to, then they're going to create lack. They have to have a reason to want to do it. So that comes to a place where it's like obligations with family. Maybe you're the one who always has to host Christmas dinner, and you're annoyed that your family just comes and eats and leaves and nobody pays for it. So you might have to reshape these type of situations in your life so that you don't feel like it's an obligation for you. It feels like something that you want to do. And if that's your job, then that can be really, if you're not finding value in your job and you're feeling like you're just obligated to go for a paycheck, you could be continuing to have money problems and a lot of lack in that situation.
Do you think any of these signs maybe are a little bit negative polarity, could be maybe not being grounded, or no? Or
for the second energy center is where you're really not grounded to your experience.
Oh, gosh. Okay. See, I'm still kind of looking at chakra. I guess I'm still kind of relating to something in crown.
Yeah,
chakra. Some people more in their crown or more, but I guess this is a little bit not just.
It's not like in this sense. It's not related to any type of imbalances you might have in your chakra.
Yeah, gotcha.
But if we went through your record and you did have an imbalance in your 7th chakra and you are a primary 7th chakra individual, that can very much signify that there is a ton of choices that you haven't been making from your energy center, and you're just spewing out energy from that chakra. But that you have to have the full reading in order to tell if you have attachments at that chakra. But for this next one, divine wisdom, which is the 8th energy center, it is really about all your connection to the earth. So basically, and I never ever had a client pull with this energy center. These individuals basically incarnate with the knowledge of the universe. They know why they're here. They know how to create their experience. They're going to be like the Bill Gates or the Elon Musks. They're going to already understand what they need to do to get what they want. They're really wise. They may have information or remember past lives that they've had here. But they can also turn out to be the souls that end up to be cult leaders, people who have the God complex.
I can see that.
You know, if they don't stay grounded to what they're doing here, which is to be part of a physical experience, they can begin to believe that they are above everybody else and stay disconnected from the experience at all. So you may never, like, individual with this energy center isn't going to want to go like live in the mountain and just be spiritual all the time. They have to be doing, they have to be present in what is going on this earth in the physical way, connecting with the people without feeling like they're above anybody else. So that's going to be their challenge for that.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that is. So what would you say for people, or like if people don't live their life in alignment with their primary energy center, what does that look like? Or
I'm going to say that it looks like a lot of lack, low energy, tired all the time, feeling like you are encountering many different of the same experiences, but tiredness and financial strain is going to be the main things that come out of not making choices that are in alignment to your centers. Yeah.
So, and I think a big thing is if you're finding your life purpose or anything, your life purpose is probably in alignment with the energy, with your primary energy center too, right? So if there's people right now that are struggling to find their life purpose, you don't really have a lot of direction, that maybe getting this kind of reading done could help guide them.
Oh, definitely. And it'll help them because there's so many ways that we can make choices to this energy center that doesn't necessarily have to be huge choices. Like I said, if you're a second energy center person and you're wanting to write a book, well, it's not necessarily in alignment to your energy center. So sitting at a desk thinking about how to write the book and spending months and in a dark room writing a book, that is not benefiting you. You're probably not going to have the most positive flow of information for your book either. So how do you change that? Maybe, like I said, you dictate the book. You go out running, and as you're running, you're talking, or you're sitting by a tree or watching the water. Now you're talking into something, and then somebody else writes the book and you know, or dictates it for you, and then you proofread it. There's a lot of ways to kind of circumvent or bring your energy center into what you're trying to do. But you're having that awareness to know that, hey, sitting at this desk, no wonder I feel like shit for the last week. Like it's the energy of where I am or what's being brought in. So there's lots of little ways we can make the choices or make changes so that we can feel more positive and we feel more energetic.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And if someone, on the other hand, is in living more from the energy center, like making life choices that are in line with energy center, I think they will feel more fulfilled. Just more aligned in general. I'm not saying everything's gonna be perfect, but I think everything feels more like a flow. It's not like such resistance, like you're trying to force yourself in a direction that you're not meant to go in, or that doesn't feel like natural to you.
Exactly. And say you are a divine communication and you are working and you're an author, but you're still feeling lack, then we can start to dig into that energy center and where your blocks might be around communication specifically, and then fine tune some changes within there in order to really push the flow of energy to come into your experience. So there's lots of little tweaks, and say, your lack is, you're fully in your energy center, then you can really start to focus on some bigger ticket things that might be pulling up in your record, because you're already making choices from the most vital path of alignment that we have.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just curious, out of all the readings that you've done, what energy center do you think, or what energy center in general do you think most people draw most energy from, or it's a mix in your experience?
It really is a mix. Yeah. I don't, for my clients, I probably get a lot of clients with divine love as one of their energy centers. I would say that's probably the most I pulled. But I would like to think, based on the amount of clients I've done, that it is pretty spread apart. It is, definitely. But we do notice that the individuals with um, energy centers on those higher level seem to be, I don't know, more on a spiritual path is what I'm
I
noticing.
can see that. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And that's just from my client base. So I can't speak for other readers or their graphics, but that's just what from my experience.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, I guess getting towards the end of this, so I guess so your energy center readings, is that only with the Akashic Records, or do you offer a special thing with that? Like, what kind of services do you offer in regards to find if someone wants to go get a reading with you to get your energy the energy center discover? What would your offering be?
Well, if you're just curious about it, yeah. I offer free energy center prints on my website. You just have to fill out the questionnaire. You can reach out to me through that. Then I will send you a brief description of what your energy center is, or centers. And there is a larger package, which is the energy center reading. That will be the full write-up. We will meet for half an hour. We'll go through it. We'll talk about your life a little bit so that we can actually make some choices, so that you can see how transformative this energy is once you've implemented that into your life. And then, of course, this is part of the full Akashic record reading if you chose to go with the full reading. But if you're just nervous about it, or you're just interested to find out about the energy center, we do offer that service as well as a solo package.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, I had the reason why I found out about this is because I got the full Akashic record reading done from her, and it was very detailed. I mean, this goes into past lives. It incorporated the energy centers, but I also got to see how some of my energy centers were affected in my past lives, and the way she brought it together was really nice. And even some of the things I was struggling with in this life, even some of the karmic patterns. So she did a very good job. Her readings do a very good job of tying everything in. Very detailed, very beneficial, and I honestly think I was able to kind of make some of the progression I have in my life over the past 6 months after I got that done. And she gave an assignment to work on, based on how your reading came out and what you need to work on. And definitely a lot of the tips that she gave did help me. I'm the Divine Truth Energy Center, and I did take some of that advice, and I have seen a lot more opportunities come in, even from a business aspect, and just feeling more aligned and balanced. I'm kind of knowing what direction to go in. So I really highly recommend that. Any of her services, really. She has a lot on her website. It's JackieSoulStories.com.
That's correct. I know. I was like, I love how you say that too. It felt all nice. And
it was helpful. Inside. Yeah. I mean, our other friend, we have a couple of friends that have all gone, and they're all very different. My experience, my reading was completely different from the others, but we all had different assignments, and we've all been developing on that same path. It's kind of like when it's time to get something like that done. I wasn't sure I heard about the Akashic record before, and but for some reason I felt like it was time to work on that stuff. And I also think, like I say with any of this these kind of readings, it's not just about learning, having awareness, it's applying it too. So if she's giving you assignment, if she's giving you like an analysis of that. Like, I even look back on the reading we did. What was it, almost like 7 months ago now or so? I even look back in it again, and now I looked at it from a different angle, and I'm like, oh, I saw how that worked out.
Yeah.
Or now I see that perspective. So it's very interesting. So I would highly recommend
it. Is, and what resonates, and that's what's transformative, is that you'll know when we go through it, it's just this connection that you feel to what's being said, and and you probably always know. We just don't listen to ourselves sometimes until somebody else points it out. But somewhere inside of us, we kind of already know those things. And once you just hear it from someone else, you can really start applying it and making changes and watching these transformations come in, which is the most valuable part of me doing the work, because it worked for me. So I don't do it for no reason. I do it because it worked for me. So that I know it can work for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes some people get tripped up, I think, with the Akashic record. There's some people that, I'm scared to know about this. Like, some people don't want to face the truth about something, or sometimes we get too focused on, like, what I did in certain past lives, but that had a karmic repercussion, and it's going into this life. I'm like, oh my God. At first, sometimes people get more focused on that, but but we're all multidimensional. We have different experiences, and that's just the life that was relevant. You know, your Akashic record holds everything, but she's pointing out what's relevant for you to work on this lifetime. So I think it's important not to focus too much on, oh my God, I did this, or this family member did this in the past life, because we hold on to that. And exactly. I think that's part of the karmic lessons too, is releasing that, and what can we do to improve the patterns. For me, it was some, you know, ancestral trauma that came up a little bit, and I did apply some of what I learned that happened in past lives, and I applied it to this life, and it did work. Like, it was like magic. And I was like, well, I've been banging my head on this for a while, and I just got this reading. It just resonated, and not right away, but it took some time for me to sit back and analyze the behavioral pattern, the karmic pattern. And I do believe I've literally like cleared some ancestral trauma from just getting into that, just having an awareness, because I was really confused on why I couldn't get past that. I was like, it felt like it's been something on a deep soul level, you know, one of my family members, and now I figured it out, and I was like, oh wow. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but it enabled me to have an awareness and work past it, and it's very interesting.
Well, yeah, because it really is those things that come up. It was, I don't know, it really just has, it's important to know the story so that you can understand why you made that choice, because karma is created through choice and action. So in order to create new karma, we have to make new choices and take new action. Yeah. But without understanding the story, it's hard to do that. So I tell you the story, but it's not about focusing on the story. It's in focusing on what choice did you make that led to this attachment. So we've all done bad things in our lives. Yeah. It's just for your awareness. We don't want to dive too deep into the negative choices we made, because we all make them.
Yeah, and that's part of the process, just about learning. And I think it's about not judging yourself. Just, okay, what can I learn from this? This is coming up in this reading for a reason, and that would really help me move to the next part. And I always say, my thing was, well, I'm going to work on this pattern with this family member because I don't want to have to reincarnate here again, or with them again in the same situation. It's like toxic. So that just what motivates me to work on that, and just to feel better, and just to release a lot. And I feel like working through that didn't happen overnight. I mean, this took a while, but once I did, I felt like I've released a lot, and and like it's on a soul level. You know, other people might not see it, but on a soul level, I felt like I worked on that. I finally released that. So it's very beneficial for anybody to do.
I agree, and thank you for saying that, because it really is the only reason I'll continue to do the work, as long as people are still continuing to get the benefit out of it. So I really appreciate that. And I'm so happy that you got value.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, I guess so. So if people want to book reading with you, they can go to JackieSoulStories.com. And what about your social medias? What social medias can they follow you on?
Yeah, all my social medias also, it's linked at that toolbar at the top. So you can click there. There we have YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that fun stuff where we share lovely messages of positivity and light. And every month I do a monthly meeting on the first Saturday of each month. So you can come in, ask any of your questions about the Akashic records, ask any questions you have about your energy center, and we can kind of work to cultivate healthy mindsets. And if you want to go further into your record, then we definitely can, but you're all welcome to come to the free meeting each month.
Oh, I did see that. Okay. I kept seeing you invite me to, I didn't realize that. So it's an every month. I didn't realize it was a monthly. Oh, I didn't realize it was.
It'll be each month, just as a place for people to come and ask their questions, because even after their session, they might have worked on one item and now they want to come back and get into some other stuff, but they need clarification. It's a good place to kind of have that open conversation without judgment, with like-minded people, and just have that community of support.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'll link all that in the description of this video and of the podcast.
Lovely.
As well.
Perfect. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It's been good, and I think that people could really benefit from finding what energy centers that they draw the most energy from. I know it's been really beneficial for me. So
definitely. Lovely. Right. Well, we'll talk soon.
All right. Well, you're signing off a Trailblazers podcast. Have a good day. Namaste.
Thanks. Bye.